How you going, people? Day 5 of the investigation on Trump assassination attempt. This little video will get you up to speed a little bit. I still have quite a few new video footage, new angles, and new opinions. Biden's getting out of the race. I'll cover a little of that, but let's get to this Trump investigation, which there should be a briefing every day on new developments from our government. Remember the government that works for we the people? Remember our elected representatives that supposedly control our government? And we can't get a daily briefing from the Secret Service on where this investigation is going. It's leak after leak after leak. And all it does is create more questions because they're lying. Here we go.
Around 5 p.m. on Saturday, July 13th, in Butler, Pennsylvania, supporters of former President Donald Trump are waiting for him to take the stage. They've been trickling in throughout the afternoon. 5:06 p.m., around 1 hour before Trump takes the stage, a person who appears to be 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks is caught on camera. In a video obtained exclusively by WTAE, he is seen pacing around these buildings just outside the security perimeter of the rally. He appears unarmed at this time. Law enforcement sources confirmed to ABC News they believe this is the suspected shooter who in a little over an hour will fire at the former president.
An hour!
While Crooks apparently paces outside the rally, two teams of counter-snipers are about to take their positions here, on these two buildings located behind where Trump will take the stage.
Slopey, dangerous roof.
6:03 p.m., former President Donald Trump takes the stage at a campaign rally. 6:05 p.m., Trump stands behind the podium and begins to speak.
This is a big crowd. This is a big, beautiful crowd.
Rally attendees have been scanned for weapons before entering the event. 6:09 p.m., just 2 minutes before the first gunshots, the counter-sniper team positioned further south turns to face towards the building where the gunman is located. In the next minute, we will see them begin to move into position, kneeling down, grabbing their weapons, and pointing them in the direction of the shooter.
The Republican Party.
At the same time, 6:09 p.m., witnesses notice a gunman on the roof of this building located here, just outside the security perimeter. He is in an elevated position and around 400 feet away from the former president. Law enforcement sources later tell ABC News the shooter made his way onto the building by pulling himself up using an AC unit. 6:10 p.m., 1 minute before the first gunshots. A bystander captures what appears to be local law enforcement walking around looking at these two structures. Local law enforcement would later tell ABC News they had been alerted of suspicious activity in the area and were in the process of looking for a potential suspect.
You guys are doing it.
6:10 p.m. Trump pivots his head slightly to the right and starts describing a chart showing immigration stats. One of the counter-sniper teams is visible in this witness video. These onlookers notice something is off and start running away from where the shooter is located. 6:11 p.m. Trump has been speaking for about 8 minutes.
Our country took over, and look what happened to us.
A supporter captures this footage from outside the rally perimeter moments before gunshots are heard.
You know, that's a little bit.
The first shot rings out. A second and a third shot are heard. Former President Trump ducks behind the podium. Another round of shots. 6:12 p.m. More agents huddle around Trump. About 15 seconds go by and we hear one last shot. From these bleachers located to the right of where Trump is speaking, a bystander captures agents huddled around the former president, shielding him. He then shifts the camera to the crowd. Someone needs help. An attendee appears to be shot, possibly in the head. An ER doctor jumping in to help. The victim will later be identified as 50-year-old Corey Compertor, a firefighter and a father of two. The family would post tributes online later that evening. An agent is heard saying the shooter is down.
Shooter's down. Are we good to move? We're clear.
Secret Service agents lift the former president.
Got you, sir. I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes. Hold on. You're gonna...
Blood is visible on his face and shirt.
Let me get my shoes.
Watch out.
He pumps his fist into the air. The crowd starts to chant. Agents escort Trump down the stairs. He continues to pump his fist. He is escorted into a black SUV that drives away from the grounds. Bystanders capture footage of what is believed to be the suspected gunman's body laying motionless on the roof of a nearby building. The building located north of where the president was speaking, just under 400 feet away from him. Later that evening, former President Trump confirms in a social media post that a bullet pierced the upper part of his right ear. The path of that bullet captured here in this image taken by New York Times photographer Doug
I'll cover
Mills.
this later.
Law enforcement will later confirm that one attendee was killed. That was Corey Combertor, the firefighter, a husband, and a father to 2 girls. Law enforcement said he shielded his wife and daughter with his body. 2 others were also critically injured but are now in stable condition. The Secret Service is now investigating how a gunman got close enough to shoot and injure.
And we've investigated ourselves and we found we did nothing wrong. And the left is saying that he's an American hero. I've got some different footage of a lot of different things. There's a lot of conflicting information I'm going to try. Look, I'm just giving you things that I'm reading from different sources. You make the decision. I'm not telling you what to think or what to believe. Everybody's here think I'm pushing an agenda. Look, I don't trust the government. I don't make any bones about it. I don't trust the media. I don't trust Secret Service. My default is they're lying until they prove otherwise. And so far, they haven't proved otherwise. So Time Magazine was going to run this as their cover, and then the media started crying that this is giving Trump this is how biased our media is, that people are saying, oh, no. Only Fox News is biased toward Republicans. CNN and MSNBC and ABC, that's the real news. Well, you people are freaking idiots. But anyway, they think this is giving the president too much good press, so they changed the cover to where it looks black and white and destruction, like Republicans are trashy, and they left this bad. And it's just sickening. So here's what our lying media is putting out to all their fellow conspirators, their fellow conspirators of anti-American shit. All the media. Freaking worthless.
This week, the photo of former President Trump standing tall moments after an assassination attempt, fist raised in the air, blood streaming down his face, is arguably one of those images. It was chosen to appear on the cover of Time because of its, quote, historical significance. But a new report reveals that some in the media want to bury the iconic photo that shows Trump standing strong. Axios reporting, quote, a photo editor and photographer from a major news outlet said the amount that publications have been using the photo is kind of free PR for Trump in a way. And it's dangerous, they said, for media organizations to keep sharing that photo despite how good it is.
Rewriting history, lying to the people, and pushing their agenda at all costs, even at the destruction of America and Americans. Outrageous.
Another photographer who is freelanced for major publications worried that the photo would become, quote, a propaganda machine, with the image itself making Trump a martyr.
So, and of course the left already believes that the shooting is fake, the dead people are fake, and Trump faked this to get the publicity. But Alex Jones had to pay $1.3 billion because he said the government faked a school shooting to get gun control. All the left is saying this is fake. Most of the right thinks the government's behind it, and we're not getting a full story. And I'm included in we're not getting a full story. Whether or not the government's behind it or they're just incompetence, their intentional incompetence to allow it to happen, to me, is just as bad as planning it. It's kind of like omission of the truth is a lie. So this goes to the high-speed camera shot where that one picture of the bullet flying by his ear. If this is true, CNN has only live streamed one Trump rally this year. And wouldn't you know it, it happened to be July 13th. Coincidence? There's been a few reports that there was a second shooter on the tower. And there was supposedly a second shooter when Kennedy was shot on the grassy knoll, the famous grassy knoll. And nobody saw nothing, nobody knew nothing. People have said they thought a second shooter. Now, in a chaotic situation, the crowd, you got sniper fire from sniper rifles, you got him shooting his AR, you got people screaming. Could it sound like the sound is coming from different places? Maybe. Here's what they're reporting.
Sharpshooter shot to the left. He killed the gentleman in the water tower here. He killed the gentleman in the water tower here.
What you know about rolling down?
So I'm going to mute this because I don't know what the hell that music is. And it shows where the shooter was at, the angles on where he was shot. He was shot here. He shot at President. And now this other line is from the water tower. We get a blown out view here. And so what they're saying was there was a second shooter. The shooter here shot Trump. The sniper shot the shooter. And somebody heard a shot over here shooting the guy in the water tower. Was there a guy in a water tower? I don't know. There is a couple photos of something black on the water tower. Why the Secret Service wasn't there, I don't know. This is the highest place there. I would have thought it would be reasonable to put they call it putting glass on it, but to put somebody with binoculars up there as a spotter that had an overall view to see something out of the ordinary. I mean, he could see if people were running. He could see if somebody was climbing on a roof. He could see if a car was coming up. You get high ground advantage. Bongino said that there was no aerial or drone support. That's just crazy for me that they didn't have aerial support. But they didn't. Was it planned or was it just a great coincidence of incompetence? So somebody drove by the water tower. They said it was not blocked off before, and now it is blocked off, and there is a police presence.
Blocked off before. That's the water tower. Boom. The water tower blocked off. The cops are passing me. Blocked off before. That's the water tower. Boom. The water tower blocked off. The cops are passing me.
Why aren't we hearing? Why are they at the water tower? What are they looking for? Why aren't we hearing anything that connects the water tower to the investigation? Obviously it is if there's a police presence and is blocked off. We haven't heard anything about the white van that they towed, that they were scared of. And there's video footage. Again, I sometimes think government likes to withhold information and let people fill in the blanks because later they can come back and say, see, you didn't wait for the real story. Here's the real story, and all you guys had all these crazy conclusions. Well, when you lie and you don't give information and you allow leaks to come out and you don't have a daily press conference from the investigating authority explaining things to the people, guess what? People figure you're lying and you're up to no good. You made your bed, sleep in, and quit your whining, you freaking government pansies. Here's another little animation they put out on the bullet that shot Trump from the sky.
Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see...
So the animation is good here because he was at the peak. The other one shows him on the downslope, which isn't where he was at. He was just over the peak.
Something that said, take a look what happened.
So technically he was looking over the peak here. They've got him in front. What they didn't show is one of the bullets had hit the firefighter in the head, which I think he was defending his family is bullshit. He got shot on one of the first or second shots that was fired. So there was no way he was defending his family. But it sounds good to make firemen and government look competent, even though we know they're incompetent. So when I first saw this picture and they said this is the bullet that actually passed by Trump's head and it captured the bullet, I was like, dude, for a camera to capture a bullet moving at probably 27 to 2,800 feet per second. And to capture this, the speed of the camera would have to be crazy. So I said, I thought this was something in the air. I don't think this was a bullet. However, someone is asking the question, why was there a massive stock short of Truth Circle? Why did they short the stock? Remember when they shorted the stock right before this? Why was MSM covering this rally with ultra high shutter speed cameras? Is it normal for them to have the high quality cameras doing rallies? If it's not normal, who gave the order to make sure and capture every second at 1/8,000th speed being reported? That's a pretty fast camera to me, if that's true. Again, I'm just reporting what people are saying. Why did the parents call the police their own son? We're not being told on this, but we are being told now that the parents said their son was supposed to go to the gun range, and he didn't return, which means they gave him the gun to go to the gun range. Again, we're not hearing all the things about this. Why did they have a description of him 3 minutes before and nothing was done? It was 3 hours. I'm sorry, 3 hours before. That's just crazy. Why did Jill Biden's good friend, Jill Biden appointed the female in charge of the Secret Service? She's a good friend of Jill, and that's how she got the job. One, she sits down to pee. Two, she's friends with Biden. So if she's a good friend with Biden, who thinks that she's not sympathetic to having Biden reelected so she gets to keep her job? And if Trump gets elected, she's going to lose her job. So if I do a shitty job protecting him, I get to keep my job. I'm sure I'm just reaching, and that's a stretch. Pull A-list security team from right before the credible threat rally. So I don't know if she did pull the A-list security team. That's yet to be confirmed. And evidently, Congress isn't going to find out until Tuesday when they supposedly have a briefing. But I'm pretty sure the briefing is going to be, we're still under investigation. We don't talk about ongoing investigation. That's not true. I have no recollection. We're investigating that. I'll get back to you. That's what we hear at every investigation. Bunch of speeches from our elected officials to look cool with no answers. How was a kid completely offline scrubbed before this? Zero activity, really? Yeah, what 20-year-old does not have a social media? Why did Secret Service have a main vantage point completely over an hour minimum? Why did security spot him at 5:15, confirm him at 5:53, and allow Trump on a stage at 6? That is absolutely criminal negligence right there. You are literally setting the president up in danger and allowing it. Why were so many Trump supporters at the rally aware of his presence, but the cops weren't? How was the kid able to get able to scope out the area before? Maybe he didn't. And return with a ladder and rifle. Well, now the investigators are releasing that he didn't use a ladder. He climbed up on air conditioning vents next to the building in order to gain access. So the ladder thing is going to be misinformation. And it's going to be conspiracy theorists jump to conclusions. Why were their bands under the Trump supporters able to snap photos of the shooter before Secret Service came down? That's a pretty good question. Why were they able to take him down virtually instantly after he got off 8 shots? At first, I thought he only got off 3. Then I heard he got off 6. Now they're saying he got off 8 shots. Wow. How good Secret Service allowed? Yeah, the fact that the Secret Service is not being held accountable is just that just shows our out of control government. If we can't hold the Secret Service, whose primary job is to protect the president, accountable for letting the president get shot, who's holding the CIA and the NSA and the ATF and the FBI accountable? Let me answer that for you. No one. That's the problem. American First Congress Senator demanding investigation, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. And there's still no answer, nothing mentioned in investigations on why suddenly the stock was shorted right before the assassination attempt. It was just lucky, I'm sure. Just a good guess. Yeah, that's it. They're also reporting that Bush owns a lot of shares in this stock. And he also, I don't know if he specifically shorted, but 12 million shares short is a lot of short. So one of these shooters' friends said that he was known as a Trump hater. The FBI is still saying we don't know his motive. Of course not. One of his friends in this interview said that the guy wasn't for Trump. He wasn't a Trump fan. And, again, misinformation to hide the truth. So at the RNC, a couple of senators tracked down Miss Secret Service friend of Jill Biden in charge of Meal Team 6, and they confronted her. I want you to notice the rude nod heads. Head nods. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Condescending. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, you're full of shit.
Wanted to ask you something, any of the responses that were necessary from you.
So they end up going through this whole video. She ends up walking. She doesn't answer any questions. She just nods her head, and then she tries to run away and scurry away like the little rat she is, with her fellow conspirators in government protecting her. And she scurries away. And there's a second video, I think, of this.
You owe answers.
She doesn't have to answer. CIA don't have to answer. The FBI don't have to answer. Biden don't have to answer. Our representatives don't have, nobody has to answer. Here's a different angle.
This was an assassination attempt. You owe the people.
I know I shouldn't say it, but I'm going to say it. Cunt. Totally unaccountable. Nothing. Back in the day, she'd have been tarred and feathered on the street, and she'd have been singing like the bird that she looked like after she was tarred and feathered. Not that I'm promoting violence. I'm just saying, back in the day, people got answers when the tar and feathers showed up. And here's what the two senators that confronted her said.
Barrasso, chairman of the Senate Republican Conference, and Senator Blackburn and I just went face-to-face with the director of the Secret Service asking for specific answers about what happened with President Trump.
Wow, good job. You asked questions. Wow. We're supposed to be impressed. They asked questions. Shocking.
In Pennsylvania, and how that shooter...
No damn answers, but we asked questions.
When the FBI and the Secret Service knew that there was a suspicious person an hour in advance of when the shooting occurred.
And they identified a potential threat at 5:51. She would not answer our questions. She wanted to say it was not the time or place. This is after we've been through a conference call today where the question queue got cut off. But I've got a message for her. She can run, but she cannot hide because the American people want to know how an assassination attempt was carried out on former President Donald Trump.
Yeah, the American people want to know, but we're not going to know. They're going to hide it, just like the files on the Kennedy assassination are still classified to this day. Outrageous bullshit. So I'm not sure why this guy is saying this at the RNC, but he's directly saying Trump's going to attack the cartel. And I'm almost thinking like, are you people idiots? You've already got half the country wanting to kill him. You've got Biden and the cronies and the CIA and all the three-letter agencies wanting to kill him. You've got a credible threat from Iran that they want to try to assassinate him. And now we're going to point fingers at the cartel and tell them they're in trouble if Trump gets elected. Basically inviting the cartel to take Trump out before the election. I don't understand why the hell this guy said this.
As a guy who spent 34 years deporting illegal aliens, I got a message to the millions of illegal aliens that Joe Biden's releasing our country in violation of federal law. You better start packing now.
Could have left it there.
You're damn right. Because you're going home. I got another message. Another message to the criminal cartels in Mexico. You smuggle enough fentanyl across this country to kill 148,000 young Americans.
They've got enough fentanyl across the border to kill every 330 million Americans over 3 times. So his stats are wrong. But anyway, he's poking his finger at the cartel.
148,000 young Americans. You have killed more Americans than every terrorist organization in the world combined. And that's when President Trump gets back in office. He's going to designate you a terrorist organization, and he's going to wipe you off the face of the earth. You're done. You're done.
I really don't. When I heard this, I was like, really? There's not enough people that want Trump's dead? Now we're inviting people? I don't get this. Maybe I'm taking it wrong. You guys can let me know in the comments. I meant to put this up when I was talking about the shorting of stock. 12 million shares, put option, July 12th. Wow. That's like the day before Trump got shot. Good timing. This company ought to buy a lotto ticket. This video says local official. This is what government always does when government fails. It becomes an immediate finger pointing. Well, so-and-so didn't do their job. Well, the federal government didn't do their job. Well, the state government didn't do their job. Well, the local government didn't do theirs. Well, the local police didn't do theirs. Well, the FBI didn't do theirs. Well, the CIA didn't do their job. It's always point the blame for the colossal failure, and it's bullshit, and the American people fall for it every time. Here's this guy, a local official, saying why his cops aren't to blame for the shooting, because the Secret Service pretty much said the cops fucked it all up. It's the cops' fault that Trump got shot. They gave that building to the locals to secure, so it's their fault for not securing it. Again, the blame game.
Did in fact see an individual on the roof with a weapon.
He saw the shooter.
He did.
Your officers are on patrol. They hear that there is a suspicious person on the rooftop. What did your officers do?
So our officers in the area started to converge on the building. My understanding is they did a full perimeter walk of the building. Weren't able to see up on the roof. Two of the officers went to what appeared to be the lowest point from ground to roof. One of the officers actually boosted the second officer up high enough for him to grab hold of the roof. When he was able to pull his head up over the roof, he did in fact see an individual on the roof with a weapon.
He saw the shooter.
He did.
And what did the shooter do?
Turned towards him, had the barrel of his weapon pointed at the officer.
At that point, the officer's hanging on to the side of the roof?
Yes.
Unable to pull a gun out?
Unable to
defend himself? Unable to reach his radio?
Any of that, yeah. Strictly defensive movement for him to lower his head, duck, lost his own grip, right? Fell approximately 8 feet to the ground.
That's a steep drop.
It's a good drop, yes.
Did he get hurt?
He did.
In that
Oh, he got hurt. He fell to the ground. Poor little thing. Back to blue.
moment, did they realize there's a threat right now to the former president?
They did. So both the boosting officer and the officer that fell were both on the radio, indicating that there was an individual on the roof that did in fact have a weapon.
Who did they radio?
So there was a blanket tactical channel being
Everyone
used.
heard it.
Everyone that was on that tactical channel heard.
Okay, so this is where a lot of people are saying, why didn't the Secret Service, we didn't hear it, they didn't tell us, etc. Anytime I've worked with any other agency, including Secret Service, there's always a liaison officer, someone with communications to all forces on different channels. So the Secret Service was either not on this channel, or another thing that we have done, sometimes we give them a radio with the tactical channel and say, here's what channel we're operating on, you guys can monitor it. So the Secret Service either failed to monitor the radio they were given, or the person that was supposed to be monitoring and relaying to his Secret Service counterpart so the Secret Service could put it out over his radio, that communication failed. Now, according to Dan Bongino, there's a text record when they were notified through text. So they know, we know what they knew, and we know when they knew it. But the texts haven't been released yet. Shocking. Okay, so here's another animation of the bullet path that hit Trump. This is the guy that was shot in the head. And I'll let you watch a little video on how they do this.
See exactly where we think the shooter was. Trump was at the podium. Over there is where the people in the field, they were calling the police. They were telling Secret Service that there's a man on the roof crawling with a rifle, right? The police were looking for him. They were circling the building. There were cop cars over there. But all the while, he's crawling up to the top. Now, pay very close attention to this line of sight, because it passes right over the first gentleman that got shot, right? And then right behind Trump in that corner, another shot hit that handrail, ricocheted, and bounced back, right? So just in that line of sight, you'll see. Now, behind Trump here, you see both snipers, and they're looking over here, right, at what was happening. But if you notice the trees, it was through those trees, right? The first shot goes off, right? It goes through, it hits the first gentleman, and as you see on that second handrail behind Trump, it bounces and that injures and kills the second guy. Obviously, they kill him. That's that.
Take a look what happened.
So it ricochets right here. Okay, so it ricochets here. This was under hydraulic. So Jesse Walters confirms that the Secret Service knew 3 hours this guy was a threat. And they let Trump on there. They never got him off. They never took him out. And there somehow was this massive communication drop for 3 hours. Outrageous.
Tonight, we're learning that the gunman was on law enforcement's radar for 3 hours. And the Secret Service designated Crooks a threat 10 minutes before Trump took the stage. And the Secret Service never said, Mr. President, don't go out there. They let Trump take the stage anyway. And 8 minutes later, he was shot. Crooks first aroused suspicion at around 3 on Saturday when security saw him with a rangefinder passing through the metal detectors. Police say they had an eye on him until he disappeared. Crooks was later spotted for a second time. This
had an eye on him till he disappeared. What, does he have an invisible machine that we don't know about? Are they not telling us something?
time by a sniper looking up at the roof, observing the building that he scaled and shot from. This was radioed into the command center. At one point, a sniper saw Crooks sit down and start scrolling through his phone. And investigators believe he may have actually had two phones. More on that later. This is when Crooks looked so suspicious that a local sniper team took this picture of him an hour before he opened fire.
An hour before. He's already drawn an hour before, and he's still able to shoot the president. How can anybody not think that it's almost impossible for some agency to be that incompetent? Well, it isn't. It's government. It's DEI.
All of this information was being sent to the Secret Service command team at the rally. A Trump supporter in the crowd then caught him on camera lurking around. Watch this.
If you take a closer look, you'll notice someone in the background. The timestamp is 5:06, and the video appears to show 20-year-old Thomas Crooks lurking near a building just past the secure parameters of the event itself. As the video pans to the crowd, you'll notice...
Remember, this was after they were alerted 3 hours that he was a possible threat. This is after they took a photo of him because he continued to be a threat and they couldn't find him. And then he's allowed to get on the building and shoot the president. Outrageous.
Law enforcement vehicles stationed in the area as well. As the camera moves back towards the building, Crooks appears to be seen again. Blink and you may miss it, but it likely shows Crooks was in the area for more than an hour before the shots were fired.
Another local...
Remember, Secret Service says they lost him. He was in the same area they were looking at him for over an hour.
Sniper team later saw the shooter return to the building again, this time with a backpack. Again, the locals alerted the Secret Service command post, who still hadn't done anything. Then at that point, Crooks...
Okay, so I got a problem with this. Has local law enforcement, if I see somebody suspicious, I don't need Secret Service permission to contact him, to take his backpack, to detain him. When the president is in the area, and I've said this before in my other videos where I talked about Secret Service stuff, when the president is around, you have no rights. I know people don't want to hear that, but that's just the way it is. You have no right for free speech. You can't yell, kill him. You don't have no rights to freaking Second Amendment. You can't have a gun. You don't have no rights to no search and seizure. They can search you. You have no rights when you're around the president. Now, you may not like that, and I'm not necessarily a fan of it, but that's reality. And there's no reason that any cop could not have self-initiated a contact on this guy and said, hey, what the hell? Unless they were told by Secret Service, we don't want anyone contacted unless we approve it. If that came out, then I'd give the boys in blue a little bit of a pass for not contacting him at least.
Climbed up an AC unit and hoisted himself atop the building. Once he was on the roof, the Secret Service was alerted that there was a designated threat on the roof. Again, the locals had to take the lead. Two officers responded, and this is how it went down.
When he was able to pull his head up over with a weapon.
Hanging.
We already heard this.
A 20-year-old let the president step on stage like a sitting duck. A 20-year-old with no military training was able to outfox a Secret Service team and local law enforcement for 3 hours and open fire from a roof of a security watch post 150 yards from the most famous man in the world.
See, the problem with this is every nation now that wants to get our president knows that he's an easy target. And if we want to take out the president, it's pretty damn easy. Imagine if you had military-trained people to where they put out distractors. They created a disturbance. They had a vehicle crash the gate on the opposite side to pull resources. They threw out smoke and caused disorientation. They flew a drone over with an explosive and blew it up in a crowd and created a panic. I mean, now all these other countries have all these great ways to say, dude, if we want the president, he's a sitting duck.
And the Secret Service was aware of this guy the whole time. All they had to say was, Mr. President, sit tight for 5. Don't take the stage yet. We have a threat. We need to handle it.
I said that the other day.
Apprehend Crooks, and Trump keeps his ear. But that didn't happen. And former Secret Service agent...
This isn't about Trump keeping his ear. This is Trump was within a fraction of an inch of being dead. Democracy, our country, our freedom, and we're a republic, not a democracy, but anyway, our whole country would have been in shambles. And you know what? I'm not sure if, that's what it's going to take for patriots and Americans to say enough's enough. We either fight while we can, or we're going to die on our knees starving because the left is just going to destroy this country.
Dan Bongino says that he has an unimpeachable source that says the plan was to have someone on that roof.
A high-level source reached out to me last night and said to me that the rooftop that the shooter engaged from was actually supposed to be posted by a local police department or a non-Secret Service counter sniper team. For some reason, that local tactical counter sniper team didn't make it to the roof.
So let me tell you how this works. When the Secret Service has a a week before, a 3-day pre-check, a day before pre-check, all these things are worked out in what's called an operations plan, and everybody's like, who's going to be in the roof? That's going to be officer so-and-so and spotter so-and-so, and they're going to be posted at this time. Great. All this is in an operation plan. For the Secret Service to go, hey, we thought the locals were going to do it, they ought to be releasing the tactical plan that says who was supposed to be there and did the locals get it. Now, there's another article that says the local police only has a total of 12 officers. You can't put too much on 12 officers. I mean, 12 officers is a couple for traffic control, a couple roving, and, probably half of them are lieutenants or captains, so they're going to be observers or talking or hanging or mirroring with the Secret Service for communication. I mean, see, this is the problem when you don't have details so people can make an educated decision on what's going on. And this is why they like dumb idiots as voters, because they don't question and they believe what other media tells them, and the media only tells us what government tells them.
What I'm hearing from sources is that tactical team positioned it through a second floor window, which cedes the high ground. And nobody noticed?
Bullshit.
Nobody noticed that post, that CS post, was unmanned?
Crazy.
Nobody had any idea?
Now, we reached out to the Secret Service and they told us no comment.
Shocking.
I thought the roof was too sloped. Now we're hearing the counter snipers played hooky and nobody noticed. And the Secret Service were the ones who set this perimeter, so no excuses. And the perimeter was set so that when bullets did start flying, the responding officers were trapped. Watch this.
I showed this video the other day. They used a police car in order to release the officers to get to the shooter. They had to ram the fence. Nice job. All these cops, now remember, these aren't the local cops. These are highway patrol. How many highway patrolmen were there? They were probably looking for tickets to write. How many of them were there? How many sheriff, police, local agency assist, plainclothes detectives? I mean, these operations usually have an overabundance of officers. The fact that the Secret Service saying, it was their fault, they didn't go up there, we thought they were up there and we didn't know, we didn't check, we didn't follow up. Nobody before the president stepped out said, are all snipers and all posts covered? POTUS is walking out. Is everything covered? Check on every man. Make sure everyone is in their position. I guess that didn't happen.
And not only was the building rooftop wide open, they didn't have any security outside of the building either. The Washington Post reporting tonight that local police had alerted the Secret Service before the rally that they didn't have the resources to station officers at that building. And the Secret Service didn't do anything about it.
Now that's interesting. If the locals are notifying Secret Service, we don't have the manpower, it goes back to Secret Service, but the PD can't say, we didn't know we were supposed to be up there. Just total incompetence all the way around. So I guess some senator released that when they spoke to Secret Service, that's how we're getting this information. Again, bits and pieces. There's no debrief, public debriefing on what the investigation, what's the timeline of the shooter. We got his phone, we got his computer. What time did he start searching? Which time did he leave home? What time did the parents call the police? What did the police told? This should be an easy timeline to say, here's where we're at in investigation. Once he was shot, we searched his phone, we searched his computer, we searched his house, we interviewed his parents. And here's what we found out. At this time he was here. Somebody has a timeline of this guy for hours before this happened, and we're not getting it. Why?
As soon as he hung up on this briefing, he said that apparently the Secret Service had identified as a character of suspicion this man, this shooter, because they saw a rangefinder on him as well as a backpack. And this all happened before the shooting actually occurred. So they saw more than an hour.
Sorry, I cut that off.
Hour before the shooting actually occurred. So they.
Here's a clue for all you dumbass law enforcement out there that's in law enforcement today. If we know a guy is suspicious with a backpack and we see him later without a backpack, we call that a clue, you freaking idiots.
They saw the guy and they identified this guy as suspicious. Now, more details coming from a source familiar here who was also in the meeting tells me that about 10 minutes before former President Trump went onto the stage, they had gone from looking at this guy as suspicious to now looking at him as a threat. That is coming.
Outrageous that they not only they let him out when a suspicious person with a backpack and rangefinder is roaming around and we lost him, and he was enough of a threat that we took a picture of him and we caught him staring at our snipers with the rangefinder. That wasn't enough to say, Mr. Trump, we're going to hold you off before we put you on stage till we figure this out. That wasn't enough. They're actually running and looking and identified him as a higher threat, and they still let Trump out. Wow.
From this briefing that the senators were in, they were told that Secret Service had called it in to a center that this guy, they now identified as a threat about 10 minutes before President Trump walked on stage, and they still allowed him to walk onto that stage. I'm told the Secret Service agent in charge there was on the phone with local and state police about the threat while the shooting was taking place.
Notice they said the secret agent in charge. They didn't say he was on the phone because the incompetent DEI, she was on the phone.
That's huge. And that is raising a lot of concerns and now major calls.
Yeah, major calls. More bullshit. So this is the message from the Butler Police Department who's getting thrown under the bus, back to blue, letting Trump get killed. Butler Township Department has only 12 police officers. I think that's a relevant piece of information to understand when viewing the recent Secret Service statements claiming X, Y, and Z was responsibility of local police. Again, point, people will get confused, don't release enough facts so people can know, and then we'll just claim conspiracy theorists are making up their own things. Wow, shocking. So I'll get to a few of the funny memes on making ignorant fun of the government. District Attorney Bragg files new criminal charges against Trump, including avoidance of a targeted projectile because he moved his head from a bullet, and obstruction of an assassination attempt. This is probably, it would not surprise me if he could charge him with that, he would. And of course they're making the shooter, poor Thomas Crooks, was, another article I read is where he was teased. This is he teased the attack with a message on gaming. Evidently he streamed that the 13th was going to be his, he wrote on the gaming platform, July 13th will be my premiere. Watch it as it unfolds. No 20-year-old is going to make this statement without guys asking him questions and saying more. It just stinks that this guy puts nothing on social media whatsoever and then just does this on his own. Confirmed, Crooks left a threatening message on a stream carrying out millions of gamers. Upon reviewing the laptop, they found his search included Trump, Biden, DNC convention. I think it also searched a couple other things that I can't think of right now, but I read another article. He had two cell phones, one which had been recovered at the shooter's site, along with a remote transmitter. The second cell phone was found at his home, and it only had 27 contacts. Why don't we know who those contacts are? And why don't we know when we contacted them what they said? Because they're hiding the truth. Let's see. It's been reported that hours after the assassination, Cook's parents contacted local police and said their son was missing. While they expressed concerns about Cook's well-being, it is unclear if they knew their son was carrying an AR-15. Another report says when they called the police, they said he was on his way to the gun range and he hadn't returned, and they were concerned about him, which I think is bullshit also. There's also a lot of posts saying that the shooter was a transgender, and that's why it's being kept, and that's why they scrubbed his social media, and that's why we're not knowing anything. We're not seeing pictures. We're not being told of his timeline and who he talked to. Is this true? I don't know. I put a picture next to this. I was kind of looking at features, and I can't really tell if it's him or not. You can make your own decision. And since the Secret Service now is concerned about slopes for the safety of their officers, we now have Slope Team 6 from your Secret Service. And since we all know that federal agents are now scared of slope roofs, if the IRS says you owe taxes, you can leave the check on your roof, and they will never collect it. And another middle school teacher saying, too bad that it was missed by 2 inches. She's a progressive education program, a middle school teacher. Every time I hear teachers need more money and we need to pay teachers more, this is the only thing I think of, because 90% of them are this scum programming your kids that you send them to because it's free school. And this Trump supporter is hanging around with a fuck Trump shirt, Biden and Harris thing, and he's hanging out in front of the RNC, and he's telling women as they walk by that he hopes their children get raped.
He's an asshole. He should be locked up. Welcome to the ghetto. Welcome to hell. Welcome to hell. I hope your daughter get raped.
But the violent white Republicans are the biggest threat to America. And this lady has a message to the Secret Service. Don't try this alone because it's too dangerous.
Yeah, it's the mayor of Magaville, baby. Hey, you know who we voting for? We voting Donald Trump, baby. America needs saving. America needs saving.
The Secret Service is a damn joke. The roof was too slanted. We couldn't put somebody up there. And now this breaking news tonight, I've heard multiple sources talk like this. It sounds like they beat Biden up and convinced him to drop out of the race. This guy's the only one who's saying he's not going to endorse Kamala. I don't know if he is going to endorse her. With the campaign finance, any money that he's raised, the only one that can use it is Harris because she's on the ticket. So unless they can convince her to run as a VP on a new ticket, which she probably is not going to want to do, she's going to scream, I'm black and I'm female and I'm being held back, which, whatever. But I was hoping Biden would stay in. He caught COVID. He doesn't want to do another debate. And so now they're going to slide him out and claim, oh, we got to stick together. Poor Biden would have been there. He gave his life to this country. Support the Democrats because Biden whatever, you freaking destructors and destroyers of America. Here's a couple talking about Biden announcing.
According to multiple Democratic sources, this is happening all of a sudden. Everyone said it would happen gradually and then all at once, and that's what's happening. According to my sources, President Biden has agreed to step down as the Democratic nominee.
Oh, man.
It will happen as early as this weekend. A speech has been drafted for him. He will continue on as president, is his intention. He also will not, I'm told, endorse Vice President Harris as his successor. They're hoping that he will endorse an open process in which the convention will be open to Vice President Harris and a few other candidates in Chicago.
A few other candidates. Can we think of a few other candidates? Hillary, Newsom. What are the other candidates? What's a good Democrat that's destroyed their city or their responsibility more than any other Democrat? That's who will be there.
Chicago to pick the Democratic nominee for president. The belief is that Vice President Harris is already looking at potential running mates to go to Chicago with a full ticket, including one possibility, Andy Beshear, the governor of Kentucky, and perhaps the governor of Pennsylvania, Governor Shapiro. Other possible candidates who are being talked about include Gavin Newsom, the governor of California.
Oh, I didn't know this. I didn't watch this. I just watched the first part.
Perhaps Gretchen Whitmer, and again, the vice president running. On the first ballot, the regular delegates would be allowed to vote under this agreement that's being talked about amongst the president and high-level Democratic officials.
Okay, and I'll go ahead and end this with Trump's granddaughter spoke at the RNC and gave a cute little message to her grandpa.
Hi everyone, my name is Kai Madison Trump. I am the granddaughter of Donald Trump. I'm speaking today to share the side of my grandpa that people don't often see. To me, he's just a normal grandpa. He gives us candy and soda when our parents aren't looking. He always wants to know how we're doing in school. When I made the high honor roll, he printed it out to show his friends how proud he was of me. I know. He calls me during the middle of the school day to ask how my golf game is going and tells me all about his. But then I have to remind him that I'm in school and I'll have to call him back later. When we play golf together, if I'm not on his team, he'll try to get inside of my head. I know. And he's always surprised that I don't let him get to me. But I have to remind him I'm a Trump too. Even when he's going through all these court cases, he always asks me how I'm doing. He always encourages me to push myself to be the most successful person I can be. Obviously, he sets the bar pretty high, but who knows, maybe one day I'll catch him. On Saturday, I was shocked when I heard that he has been shot, and I just wanted to know if he was okay. It was heartbreaking that someone would do that to another person. A lot of people have put my grandpa through hell, and he's still standing. Grandpa, you are such an inspiration, and I love you. The media makes my grandpa seem like a different person, but I know him for who he is. He's very caring and loving. He truly wants the best for this country, and he will fight every single day to make America great again. Thank you very much.
Alrighty. Well, in that there, day 5 of the investigation. Not much of an investigation, but we get bits and pieces every day. Y'all have a good one.